Chain is honestly probably one of the most stressful games I've played on Roblox in a while. Not because of its gameplay, but more because of, if I don't get stressed, I'm probably too comfortable and need a 16-inch chainsaw driven through my skull to remind me that I'm not the main character. But besides that, we're going to talk about how to survive in Chain. Well, I mean, survive is such a broad spectrum. If you consider surviving as still having a pulse, then we're on the same page. If not, good luck, dipshit. You'd be better off winning the lottery without A, running like a slave in the 1800s, or B, putting a Kevlar vest on and cosplaying Five Nights in Afghanistan. Speaking of Kevlar, if you haven't bothered surviving till daytime, there's this neat thing called a shop where you can buy equipment. Equipment being a random assortment of tools to maybe possibly might help you survive the night, but I digress. Let's go over them one by one, shall we? Because the developers would never put any useless items into their games, right? Well, actually no. Most of the items actually serve a purpose in one way or another. Keyword most, but we'll get to that. Starting off, we have one of the more useful items you can buy. Energy drinks. It works how you would think, infinite stamina for a couple of seconds. It could help you in a tight pinch, but its use time is way too long to be effective while you're being chased. So, try and use it before chain aggro's onto you. Right next to that are medkits. Also works how you would think, but I wouldn't really count on it saving you if you're being chased. Again, because contrary to popular belief, pumping yourself full of drugs and antibiotics is a time-consuming process. Next up is the tablet. This is kind of your map/power meter. It gives you little waypoints to find places to either hide, loot, or die. Yeah, no, I wouldn't recommend using this that often. It drains power too much to be really useful as a waypoint, but unless you have memory loss or you just don't know the map, use your credit somewhere else. Next up is the radio. On console, this is useless unless you like stalking people's conversations or having it as a coping skill to deal with your case of no in-game chat. Either way, it's just a way to talk to people across the map, mostly used to either tell where the killer is or a half-jumbled mess of letters, mostly from people who try and fail to inform you. Bear trap.
They could probably like one
Moving on. There's not much to say about the vest. It is the most useful item in the game. It gives you extra health, and it's really good for new players if they don't know how to survive chain that well. But besides that, it's just a vest. Flashbang. Kind of a pain to use for new players, given the wind-up time and its radius is less than ideal. But with good timing, it can actually save you in certain situations. But besides that, I wouldn't use it for anything else. Chest light. It's useful-ish. It's more of a little less annoying type gadget, given that the flashlight doesn't follow your head as often, unless you're standing still. Besides that, it's a waste of 90 credits. Machete. Usually equipped by psychopaths trying to 1v1 chain, or people that want a false sense of security when hiding in the corner of the map. Either way, unless you know how to use it, it would function more as a toothpick than an actual weapon. EMF. Oh cool, a tracker. I can see where he is. Small issue, the fucking thing has no range. By the time he's 3/5 on the scale, he's already within eyesight, and unless you're as blind as my grandmother with cataracts, you ain't missing the man. Just don't buy it. Watch. Press V to see the time. That's it. It's useful, but I would use the credits for something else. Grenade. I personally don't use it that often, but it can help people when you're fighting chain. It just kind of to get some damage off until the person fights him, misses, and dies. AK. Pretty useful. I mean, a gun in general is useful, but honestly, it's your best bet if you want to fight chain. Without blueprints, of course, but the shopkeep only has one in stock, and it refills when someone dies or after a certain amount of nights. Crucifix. One-time use and it staggers chain for a brief period of time. Only problem is there's also only one in stock, and usually somebody has it, and especially somebody that wants to fight chain and get to a blood moon, so... And now that we've covered all the buyable items, let's get into the blueprints. But first, let's go over the ways to obtain these weapons. So first, you need to buy the blueprint from the shop and head over to this thing called the deconstructor. It's located inside the workshop. You take scrap you've gathered and shove it into this machine. It spits out cool crafting materials that you need to then bring over to the workbench and build the blueprint you bought earlier. Oh, right, the blueprints also cost credits, so... Speaking of double barrel, it's a double barrel. I mean, the game literally states it's OP, so what else do you want from me? Its ammo is relatively cheap to craft, and it does a lot of damage. Machete. We already talked about this earlier. Deagle. It's honestly just a solid pick. Good DPS and can get you to Blood Moon if you know what you're doing. Then again, it's pretty much all guns. Combat knife. Utility mixed with a weapon. If you're holding this while Chain tries to execute you, you're able to escape on 1 HP. It also staggers him for a small time, so you can actually, run away. It doesn't work on Blood Moon, obviously. Well, now that we have all the items out of the way, let's talk about the big man himself, Chain. He has a few things to note about him. He is ever so slightly faster than the player when running, so better hope you have one hell of a head start or you're fucked. He does take a second to rev up a chainsaw, then you have a literal second to get the fuck out before he starts his very aggressive game of tag. To help yourself with surviving, I would recommend staying in groups of 2 to 3, as any bigger and you're bound to run into him. Sure, the others can serve as neat distractions, but if you're the one he decides he wants to turn into a smoothie, then good luck, pal. You ain't living that shit. Dodges, one of the most useful yet aggravating mechanics of the entire game. You manage to time your dodges correctly, you can escape him with pretty minimal damages. And full stamina. It also staggers him for a brief moment, which is nice, but time it wrong and I'm pretty sure we all know what happens afterwards. If you find yourself face to face with Chain, well, more like when, but I digress, he has a few options on how he wants to go about murdering you. His basic attack, his dash attack, where he, as the name describes, dashes, and his special attack, aka L'Explosion. This only happens when he is surrounded and damaged enough in an effort to try and stop the server from effectively bullying him. Locations, taking a step away from Chain, let's talk about the map. It's honestly forgiving. I can say forgiving loosely because if you're just starting a game, then you will have to spend credits opening up the warehouse and workshop, each costing 500 and 150 respectively. There is also an upgrade to power which makes it last longer. There's a lot more I could cover, and I could make a part 2 talking about the looting system and the Blood Moon, but feel free to like and subscribe and let me know if you guys want to see that. Hey, post-editing Smojan here. I'm tired, and I just wanted to say thank you to you guys who made it this far and watched the entire video, because it does mean a lot to me. It means a lot to all of us, actually. Me, Potato, Fast, Coffee, the whole gang. And I did kind of just want to let you guys know, if you want to see more, please subscribe. It motivates us all just so that we can maybe get more content out. Recording is a bitch, especially whenever my 3 friends are on Xbox, but besides that, it's just a very good motivator, and it lets us know that you guys are engaged and intrigued in the content that we're making. As always, have a wonderful day or evening or whatever time it is for you, and I'll see you guys in the next one.